What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down how to scale your Facebook ads, how to scale with reliable systems, simplified systems, and consistent systems within your ads. The exact methods that I'm using inside my own business to scale my Facebook ads that you can leverage in your business as we move into the rest of 2024. So this video is specifically for somebody who's found a potential product that they can scale, they just need some help scaling, or they've started to scale and just need some insight on how to take it to that next level and hit that 10, 15K plus days and really take their business to that next level. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video. All right, guys, so just before we get into the video, I just want to give you a little rundown of where things are at with the store and show you that here yesterday we generated just over $8,750 in sales. And so far this month, in the month of January, we've generated just under $280,000 a month. Should be on track to hit that $300,000 a month. And in the last 30 days, I'll give you a month to date, we've generated, if it'll load here, just over $303,000 in sales on the month so far. So that's what we're looking at with the store, and everything in this video is directly correlated with what's working for my stores. This is just one of the stores that I run, and these things that I'm showing you in this video is exactly how I scale my own Facebook ads. Now, I focus on simplified systems, right? Simple scales, fancy fails. That's my motto. These are the things I'm looking at within my day-to-day ad account management and the things that you need to be considering when scaling your Facebook ads. So again, guys, this is all based on experience, no theory-based BS. So with any further ado, let's jump into the rest of the video.
All right, guys, so let's get into it. We're going to be talking about the simplified initial scaling process, right? This is where I see a lot of people either mess up or do it wrong or aren't looking at their data properly and end up, one, killing off products that have potential too early, and two, potentially scaling up products that realistically don't have much scaling potential. So this is what I'm going to be breaking down of what to first look for when to scale, and then how to start scaling and how to look at your data properly so that you're making the best decisions when scaling profitably. So when to scale, right? We need first an established initial product proof, meaning that you've tested the products, you've established that this product is worth scaling and that you're going to put more budget into it, right? If a product doesn't prove that it's worth scaling, it's time to move on to the next product, right? Don't get emotionally attached to your products. Don't try to aggressively scale products that just aren't showing you with data that they're worth scaling, right? So you need to be looking for products in your testing campaigns and establish at least 5 purchases that are profitable in a single interest group. Meaning you could have multiple ad sets running to the same interest that have more than 5 purchases as a whole profitably to still equal the potential of scaling, right? It doesn't have to be just in one ad set and one interest that has 5+ purchases. Obviously, the more the better, but at least in one purchase group, preferably more, you have 5+ purchases that are profitable and that have been running for the past 3+ days. So this gives us, the proof of concept that we've got multiple purchases, we're not just getting lucky purchases, and that we've got profitability running across multiple days, right? We don't just have like one great day and then it completely dies off, or sometimes things will start off a little bit slower then pick up as you go. So this is why you want to be establishing your burden of proof for your product first before you even think about scaling, right? And these are the baselines that I look for within products before I go, okay, maybe it's worth putting a bit more budget and seeing how it moves into the phase 1 of data collection is what I call it, right? The next thing that we want to look for is established winning interest, right? So you've established at least 1 to 3 profitable interests that you can start to scale, right? Interest-based audiences that have proven multiple purchases, like we've talked about up here, at least 5 or more at a profitable rate over, preferably 3+ days. Right, so we're looking for those winning interests that we can then begin to scale. And I'm going to talk about more of how you can start to scale them as you move forward. And then again, just reiterating here, 5+ profitable purchases in that single interest. And like I said above, we're looking for 1 to 3. Next, we want to have established winning creatives, right? We've established at least 1 to 3 profitable creatives that Facebook has started to optimize your spend towards, right? So say, for example, in your testing campaigns, you're running 3 ads per ad set, and Facebook is established and started spending more budget towards 1 or maybe 2 of those 3, right? It's optimizing towards those because those are what's getting the best results in your ranking metrics as well as profitability, right? What's actually getting you the result that you're optimizing for, which we're always optimizing for purchases. So again, you're looking to see if there's any distinct outliers that Facebook's pushing your spend towards that's collecting a majority of your sales. So this is what's deeming your creative as that winning creative across the multiple creatives that you might have been testing in your original testing campaigns. So these are the 3 establishments that we want to get in place before we move into scaling phase 1, which is now putting more budget into collecting more data and optimizing your account and your campaigns around this product so that we can make better data-driven decisions moving into higher budget scaling as well. All right, so let's get into scaling phase 1, the data collection phase. I like to call this the data collection phase because now we're starting to push our budgets towards the interests, the creatives, the campaign structures that are performing best, right? Doing the motto that I always tell all of our members inside of our private group, do more of what's working, right? A lot of people mix up scaling and testing and think that just testing more things is part of scaling. But simply, scaling is just doing more of what's working, putting more money towards what's bringing you the best results. And that's how you're going to scale more consistently. It's how you're going to scale more profitably and make more money in your business overall. So typically, the more purchasing data that you continue to collect, the better that your ad account is going to start optimize, or what we call learning, right? As you can see that, some of your ad sets will get stuck in learning limited. It's just typically because you're not spending enough on those ad sets or those campaigns to collect 50 or more results in a 7-day period. That's all it is. So what we're going to start doing is putting more budget towards these assets, those things that I had mentioned before, to collect more data in your account, to train it and optimize it to perform better at scale. So we're going to look at scaling types. So there's 2 typically broken down scaling types when it comes to Facebook ads, is your horizontal scaling and then your vertical scaling. So horizontal is just scaling by duplicating things, doing more of that at a horizontal plane, right? Duplicating multiple campaigns, ad sets, so on and so forth. That's what we call horizontal scaling. And then we've got vertical scaling, right? Which is vertically increasing direct budgets, right? So if you've got a $100 a day campaign, you're directly increasing that vertically to a $200 campaign on that campaign. So that's the difference between horizontal and vertical, if you hear me talking about that in this video. So next we've got ABO versus CBO. If you guys don't know already, ABOs versus CBOs is just ad set budget versus campaign budget, right? Both structures work when scaling, and you always want to, again, do more of what works best inside your ad account. There's no one strategy fits all approach to Facebook ads, right? You have to learn how to optimize your ad account towards what the data is telling you is performing best and do more of it, right? As you guys know here on this channel, and what everything that I do and what I teach is based on simplicity. Simplifying everything in your business and doing more of what's working so that you can get to that next level. A lot of times that's what people struggle with most. So initial horizontal scaling, this is like your first step into starting to scale your ads and collecting more data and bringing in more purchasing data to your account. So initial horizontal scaling is typically the most stable and consistent way to start scaling your best performing ad sets in your ad account, especially if you're working with a new ad account or you found a new winning product and you're just starting to get familiar with pushing more budget into your product and your campaigns and your assets that we had talked about before. So the first thing that we're going to start doing is scaling horizontally inside of our original ABO campaign, right? So if you're testing products, you're typically using ad set budgets, right? Anything that I do that I'm testing or I'm split testing, I'm always using ABOs. Typically when I'm scaling, I'm using CBOs. So that's really how I've broken it down, is test with ABOs, scale with CBOs. But if ABOs are working, you can also scale with ABOs. But just for an overall breakdown here, I'm going to go through the initial horizontal scaling ABO structure. So this would be in your original ad set budget testing campaign. So this is what, if you haven't seen my other videos about testing with ABOs, this is what the structure looks like. So you've got your ABO, your original testing campaign, you've got multiple ad sets with multiple ads, right? So these are your ad sets, and then these are your ads inside the ad set. So in this example here, I've color coded them of green for something that's worked, and red, or what looks to be orange on here, is something that hasn't worked and that we're pausing, right? So say, for example, we've tested 3 different interests inside of our ABO campaign, and say this was testing to the United States only, just for this example, right? So this would be interest number 1, interest number 2, interest number 3, and each of them have the same add 2 and add 3, add 2, add 3, add 2, add 3. The same creatives inside all of these ad sets. The only thing that's different is that interest audience that we're split testing to figure out which interest audience is going to correlate and work best and perform the best with which creative as well, right? So in this example here, say I've tested these and I've found that interest audience number 1 is way outperforming interest audience number 2 and interest audience number 3, and these are under our KPIs, right? Maybe they're not performing to the data that we need them to perform to be profitable. So we've turned them off, right? So we've turned off the ad set, which turns off all the ads as well, and we've got this one running. And then we look at the ad section, right, where our creatives are, and we see that ad number 3 is drastically outperforming ad number 2. So say you ran 2 video ads or 2 image ads, whatever you're running for your structure, you can see that ad number 3 is outperforming ad number 2. So we're keeping that in mind when we start to do our initial horizontal scaling inside the same original ABO campaign, right? So I've got down here is this is now we are adding or duplicating into that same campaign. So we're always using a 3 structure, meaning whenever we're duplicating in 3s. Whenever we are duplicating CBOs, we're duplicating in 3s. And what this does is it hits 3 different pockets of the audience and gives enough variation in the algorithm to optimize a strong pocket of that interest audience and start optimizing that ad set and those creatives within that. That's the only reason why we're doing everything in 3s, is to just give Facebook a little bit more data to work with, and our goal is to optimize 1 to 3 of those duplicates, preferably 3 if we can get all 3 to start optimizing and profitable. But this is why we're duplicating in 3s, just to try and get multiple of these ad sets in different pockets of that audience to start optimizing and performing and being profitable, that we can start to scale, right? So say, for example, in this example here, this was our best asset group, right? This interest with this ad. And again, going back to the model, we are just doing more of what's working, and we're doing it with a horizontal scaling method, duplication, right? So we're just duplicating this winning interest with this creative 3 more times inside that campaign at higher budgets, right? Typically, I like to double or triple the budgets, especially if you're just starting with like $20 a day ad sets. I would triple that budget up to a $60 a day budget. If performance is crazy good and you're a little bit more aggressive, you can duplicate at higher budgets, but minimum I like to duplicate at double, and usually the highest I like to duplicate is triple, just to give Facebook a bit more budget, a bit more spend to try and optimize a bit faster, get more purchasing data coming through, and just start optimizing better overall. So these would be our 3 dupes. We've got interest number 1 in all of these, and then our single best ad in all of these. And we would just duplicate them and set them at $60 a day each if these were $20 a day, for example, right? So that's all you're doing for horizontal scaling, is you're just doing more of what's working and collecting data on your best performing assets, right? Your best ad set with your best interest and your best creative match up together, right? We're just doing more of that. That's as simple as it is. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it, right? So let's do a horizontal breakdown when we are looking at horizontal scaling. So like I said, always duplicate in 3s. It hits 3 different pockets of the audience and gives enough variation to the algorithm to start optimizing a strong interest, right? Our goal is to hit 1 to 3 duplicates each time to optimize profitably each time you duplicate, right? So say, for example, just for this example here, we had this ad set underperformed, but these 2 did perform. That's okay. We just kill off the one that didn't perform and let the others continue spending. And then what you would do is you would do the same thing again, right? You would make 3 different dupes, the exact same 3 with your winning interest, with your winning ad, right? I'll just put a little check for the winning ad, and you do that these other 2 times, and you just do it at a double or triple the budget again, right? So if this was $60, I would just double these to $120. Or if you're going very aggressive, you could triple them to $180. But typically that's how you want to be simplifying the scaling of your initial ABO with horizontal scaling. So continue increasing the 3 new duplicates by doubling or tripling the budgets each time, depending on performance, right? If you duplicate these, say you duplicated these up to $200 a day, and only 1 out of the 3 start doing well, you might want to start duplicating your new horizontal ABOs and staying with that $200 a day budget, just because each budget will typically have a ceiling that it will hit where it's still remaining profitable and performing good, but you're not kind of going past that and becoming unprofitable. Typically, as you start to scale budgets, right, you're scaling your budgets in your new dupes, or as we talk in the next video about vertical scaling, is you will start to see that return on ad spend dips a bit. You know, the more budget you're giving Facebook, the more aggressive that you need to find buyers, typically your return on ad spend will start to dip. So it's your job as a media buyer or an account manager inside your account to find that sweet spot, find that ceiling where you can spend the most amount of money but still hit your KPI goals of profitability, right? So that's what you want to be thinking about when you're increasing. Typically, every product will have a ceiling on how much you can give Facebook to find you consistent buyers at a profitable rate until you've collected more data, until you've found new winning assets that you can then start to scale as well. So we never want to never directly increase budgets of the ABOs/CBOs during this initial phase, right? We never want to do vertical scaling right away. One, because you want to move into vertical scaling once you've got a bit more data collected on your account. Again, I'm talking about new products that we found inside fresh ad accounts that we are starting to scale, right? Because that's where a lot of you guys are at right now. So you never want to be directly increasing those budgets, and always using the duplication method in the very beginning until you've got more purchasing data on your account. And then you can become more aggressive with vertical scaling. So you only want to scale by duplicating increasing, right? So your typical budget increase tiers, just for example here, will typically look like 20, and then you duplicate to 60, duplicate to 100, to 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, etc. And that is based on performance. Don't get that wrong, right? So if we're looking at performance and we find that $200 a day budgets inside the ad sets is performing best, and every time we try to push to $500 a day budgets, things just become unprofitable, unstable, and aren't hitting your performance keys that you're looking for, stick with 200, right? There's no shame in staying at a certain budget range that's bringing you a better result than going up to the next budget range and just doing more of that, right? Just instead of increasing to 500 every time that you're duplicating and you're horizontally scaling, stick with 200. Just do more of that. Yes, you're going to spend more overall in the ad account, but your ad sets that are at $200 a day are going to perform better than your ad sets at $500 a day, because that's what your account's telling you. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that it's about judging based on what your ad account is telling you, based on your product strength, you know, how good those interests are performing, mixed with your creative strength as well, right? And that's totally fine. Find that sweet spot, find that ceiling, and do more of that, right? That's all you need to be thinking about when horizontal scaling. So we're going to talk about horizontal scaling CBOs, right? So say you've started to duplicate and things are working well in your ABO, in your ad set budget campaign, and you want to move to CBOs, or things aren't working too well in your ad set budget campaign, your ABOs, and you want to test CBOs, right? See how it does with a CBO structure as opposed to an ABO structure. Again, because every ad account will perform differently with different structures. It's about finding what works best for you and your ad account, right? So again, simple equals scalable. Simple scales, fancy fails. Always remember that, right? So with this CBO structure, what I've been using and what's been working best currently is using just a single ad set CBO structure, right? So you've got your CBO, you've got one ad set with your best performing interest, just open age, open gender, and narrowing in on that interest audience and letting Facebook optimize around that, and then leveraging your best 1 to 3 creatives. That's it. You don't need to put 10 creatives in here. You don't need to put 20 creatives in here. You just want to put your best 1 to 3. And you can scale these CBOs with just one best single creative if it's performing well, right? You don't have to have 3 in there. It's just 1, 2, 3. is typically what I see has the best result. It allows Facebook a little bit more variation to put the right ad in front of the right people at the right time, and play around with that. But if you just got one creative that's really crushing it, you can also just run a one ad set, one creative CBO, and just work on scaling that. So one thing that we do want to use inside of our CBOs is post IDs. So using post IDs when scaling is really, really important because it starts to collect continued engagement on your ad. So if you've ever seen ads out there that have tons of engagement, it's typically because they're using the same post IDs in multiple campaigns, or if not all of their campaigns, and running those ads using the post IDs. What this is going to do is continue collecting that engagement. It's going to rank you higher in your ranking metrics, right? We've got quality ranking, engagement ranking, and conversion ranking. And if you're ranking higher in the algorithm, right, in the auction, you're going to outbid your competitors, you're going to get the good traffic, and you're going to scale more profitably. So using post IDs is very, very important. So make sure that you're using post IDs. If you don't know how to use post IDs or how to get those, make sure to join our private ecom group. Get inside that, ask those questions, and we can be there to help you, get past that little learning curve if you're not already inside, right? Next thing, simple data window decisions, right? Knowing when to look at your data, under what windows or what time frames, and how to make decisions on that. I see this is also something that a lot of people don't understand, how to look at their data. A lot of times they're looking at overall lifetime and go, okay, things are really profitable overall, but maybe in the past week or the past 3 days, things are really underperforming and they're losing money and they're not understanding how and when to look at their data, right? So here's a simplified breakdown of how you need to be looking at your data windows and making decisions on that, right? So 3 days, including the current day's window of data, for anything above $50 budgets is typically a good baseline to base your decisions on, right? So if you're starting to scale and you've got $200 a day CBOs and you've got multiple of those, you want to definitely be looking at those in the past 2 days plus today. So a 3-day window, right? As close to a 72-hour window as possible to make these decisions, right? Typically, I notice that optimization is the best to look at in a 1 to 3 day window when you're up and scaling more aggressively. But if you're just testing and you're using small budgets, maybe in your initial scaling budget campaign, or you're duplicating a bunch of small budget ad sets, anything that's below $50 per day, I like to look at it in a 7-day window, right? So the past 6 days, including today, right? 7 days plus today, because when you're spending less amounts, right, it's going to take more time to get the same data that you would collect when you're spending more, right? So if you're spending $50 a day in comparison to a $200 a day campaign, realistically, you're going to have to spend 6 days worth of data, or 6 days worth of spend to collect the amount of data that your $200 a day campaign's getting in 1 day, right? So just thinking about that, the smaller the budget that you have, typically the bigger window of data that you want to be looking at, and the higher budget that you have, the smaller window of data that you want to be looking at. I don't normally look at windows of data anything above 7 days, because I want to be looking week to week on my small budget stuff, and then typically I don't look anything past 3 days for big budgets, right? Because I'll know when to make decisions on when to keep, kill, or scale campaigns based on the past 3 days, 72 hours for big budget campaigns. Even if it's like $1,000 a day campaign, a $2,000 a day campaign, typically things will optimize and stabilize over 3 days of optimization. Now you can be more aggressive if you're really, surf scaling or being aggressive with your budgets. You can look at things day to day. This is what people call surf scaling, right? Of looking at day to day increases and decreases in budgets. It's a bit more of an advanced approach to scaling, and is definitely something that you want to look into once you're at that point of spending thousands of dollars a day on ads at a profitable rate. But until you get to that point, you want to be looking at this method of initially scaling and getting your campaigns up to $300, $500, maybe $1,000 a day in spend before you go more aggressive, which will be in the next video of talking about vertical scaling and how to go more aggressive with your vertical scaling, how to scale past those 10K, 15K days and beyond with vertical scaling and surf scaling. But in this one, this is typically where I see people mess up the most, from testing products, getting good data, and maybe even finding a winning product, but end up killing off that product way too early, or pushing products that don't really have the potential to scale based on the data. This is how you want to be looking at your data, how you want to start initially scaling and moving into that data collection phase, right? Because think of your data in your ad account as an asset to your business. The more data you have, the stronger your ads are going to perform. The more data you have, the more stability that you're going to have and consistency in your business at scale. So just something to keep in mind. I hope you guys got some value from this video, and definitely implement these things into your business.
All right, and there you have it, guys, the breakdown of how to scale your Facebook ads. The exact methods that I'm using right now inside my ad account, the campaign structures, the windows of data that you need to be looking at, and realistically how to make data-driven decisions inside your ad account, and basing everything off of your numbers and your performance. So if you got any value from this video, again, I just want to ask that you like this video down below, because it helps me more than you know get this out to more people, and just keeps me motivated making these videos for all of you guys. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to get updates on these videos each and every week, as I'm posting value bombs like this every week on the week. And if you want to take it the next level, I want to invite you to join our VIP Discord group down below. This is where we go over everything e-commerce based every single day to get answers to your questions, to chat with me, my business partner, and other people on the same journey as you. This is the place to be if you want to learn from experience-based strategy and implementing things in your business and getting direct support every step of the way. So again, I hope you guys got some value from this video, and we'll see you in the next one.